This is kind of a strange channel. Is it about off-grid stuff? Is it about cats? Is it about writing? It doesn't really have a theme. I've gotten a strange variety of sponsorship offers. I was offered a automatic cat litter box, which I had to decline because it required plumbing. And I don't have plumbing. I have an outhouse. I was offered a bidet also, which I once again had to decline because outhouse. The only one that I accepted was a pair of rubber boots, which I reviewed last year. And perhaps because that video was so good, I have since gotten offers for 2 more waterproof footwear products. More waterproof boots and waterproof socks? I don't know why I keep receiving waterproof products when I live in one of the driest places in the country, Eastern Washington, Okanogan County. I will make use of these boots in the winter when I need to trudge through the snow. But the rest of the year, as of now, not a lot of water around. The company actually keeps hounding me, when are you gonna make the video? And I'm like, there's no water. How do I test waterproof boots? So I realized what I'm gonna have to do to satisfy them is to wander off into this surrounding landscape, try to find some water so I can get muddy. All right, so after about an hour of driving, I have located a source of water. Out here on a random highway, a random creek with a highly questionable bridge. But you know, I like to do everything a little sketchy. And yes, there's a city keep out sign there, but you know, it's covered by trees. I can't really see what that says. I'm not gonna keep out. So the first thing I'm gonna try is these HISEA boots, which are once again a rubber insulated boot like the ones I reviewed before, except shorter. They are offering to keep me dry and warm, which is really not what I'm looking for at this time, but they want the video. They're nice enough to include these lovely wads of paper, which I'm going to use as fake wasps' nests, hang these around my house, which are supposedly a deterrent to keep wasps away. So thanks, HISEA. So the reason I thought it might be nice to have these as well as the big ones that I got before is that they're short. Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, they're more in the slip-on category. Less of a commitment. Love the color. They fit really nice. I wouldn't, go trekking in deep snow in these, obviously, because I'd get an ankle full. The idea of these is, around the house, like quick jaunts in a muddy, rainy day, something like that. Now it is 100 degrees today, so this is certainly not the climate that these are intended for. So I'm sure my feet are gonna get sweaty in a hurry since they are thermally lined solid rubber boots with no breathability whatsoever. But I think I can still give them an honest review under those conditions. A really loud creature just started rattling out there somewhere. I don't think it's a snake, but we'll find out. So I figured the best way to test these properly would just be to go ahead and walk across this rickety bridge and have it collapse under me, and then I'll just fall into the stream and we'll see how waterproof they are. All right? No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke, or what we call in the sponsored product review industry a color commentary, or whatever. I have no idea what we call anything in that industry, because by the way, this is not really sponsored per se. I'm not getting paid for any of these reviews that I do. They just send me the product, and then it is my sacred duty to say things about it. And I've only done one so far, which I actually liked. I don't know what happens if I talk shit about the product I'm supposed to review. As I approached the water here, I could have sworn I started hearing a swarming, buzzing sound, and I thought maybe there was a wasp hive somewhere nearby. But then I stopped and listened, and I started to hear the voices of the dead and all sorts of strange things coming up to me from the white noise of the creek. So probably not wasps. It's more likely just to be creek madness. Creek madness is one of the many potential side effects suffered by people in the sponsored YouTube products industry like myself. So, I mean, how much can you really test a boot? The fact that it's comfortable and fits nice is the main thing I need to know. I don't really expect it to not be waterproof, but let's go ahead and put a foot in there. Well, it's very slippery. I'm not eager to fall while carrying my phone and rigging here. Let's get the exact height so I don't overstep it, because I don't want... Oh my God, it's so slick. Oh my God. Can barely stand up here. But there we are, immersed in a body of water. At least my left foot is holding strong. And I did fall in a little bit and filled the boot with water, so I cannot test the right foot. But the left foot, fully waterproof, guaranteed. Surprisingly, my feet aren't even sweating yet, despite the extreme temperature. That is one benefit of them being short also, is that they are more breathable because there's just more airflow. I think this is a really specific use case for a short waterproof boot. Obviously, as we just saw, it's not great for fording streams, but probably fine for making a run out to the outhouse in the winter slush and mud, which is what I mainly figured I'd be using these for. As I'm walking away from the stream, the chorus of hisses just returned. So apparently I interrupted a party of some kind. Fine, I'm leaving. God. Psych, I'm not leaving, because it's now time for phase 2, which is the waterproof socks. The reason I was sent these, in fact, is that I saw an ad for them on Instagram, and I was very confused and skeptical because I didn't and still don't really fully understand the concept of a waterproof sock. If you need your sock to be waterproof, that means your shoe is already saturated. Which at that point, like, what are you even doing? You know, it's a lost cause. You're gonna be miserable regardless. So I wasn't really clear on what this is about. It seemed like one of those bizarre inventions where just nobody thought it through. And I felt the need to point that out in the comments of this ad on Instagram, because that is probably my toxic trait, as they say, is a weird compulsion to lay justice to terrible companies on Instagram. But once in a while, what's the opposite of comes back to bite you? It comes back to gift me a free waterproof sock, because they challenged my statement and said, let us send you some free socks and see for yourself. They have a membrane in between the cloth. So they are just normal terry cloth inside. But as you can see, if I stretch it out, there is some sort of membrane, like a Gore-Tex-y kind of thing inside there. I believe it's supposed to be breathable, like a Gore-Tex membrane. Feels really weird slipping it on. It's like, it feels a lot like a wetsuit booty, honestly. I still can't figure out how this would be useful in a normal shoe wearing situation. If you're walking through water with your boots on and water is pouring down into your boots, it's just like you've completely failed already. So the sock is going to help you at that point. The only use I can think of is actually very perfect use for where I am right now, because as I was stumbling my way across that creek in those boots, I thought, you know, if I were just wearing sandals of some kind, sandals, then I could just, you know, plunge into this water and not worry about it if I had my waterproof socks. So I am all crocked up. But really, guys, does it really matter how effective they are? The important thing is that I look cool doing it. Hell yeah. So here we go, plunging in. That is a weird feeling. I can feel the cold sucking in around my feet very prominently, but it is definitely different than cold and wet. It actually feels really nice. Well, I have forded. Who forded? So I'm now on the other side of this mysterious service road, or whatever this is exactly. I don't see any signs of civilization. I've been exploring around here a little bit, and I kind of forgot what this video was about. Was I supposed to be reviewing some products? I've just slipped into Wasteland Explorer mode. Seems to just be another one of those mysterious abandoned roads that wanders up into the trackless wilderness. Some car came up here ages ago and left the faint residue of tracks, but it's long since disused, probably since that bridge collapsed. And now it's just, you know, a giant rattlesnake heaven. I'm watching my step very carefully. No waterproof sock is going to protect me up here. It's actually good that I get to walk around a little bit though, because I'm discovering what these waterproof socks are all about, because right now, if I had crossed that stream barefoot, my feet would be wet, the Crocs would be wet, and I would just be slipping and sliding all over the place. I looked at a few other brands, and I feel like none of these products really explain their concept very well. They all kind of just present it as if it's obvious why you'd want waterproof socks. And, you know, the logic part of my brain said all that stuff I just said earlier about, like, if you're wet, you're wet. It's too late. But what I didn't think about is the traction of it, which I feel like is something they really should be highlighting, is that you can wear sandals, you can wear Crocs, get wet and not notice that they're wet because you're not going to be squelching around in them and slipping and sliding around. It basically turns your sandals into shoes, or hiking boots for that matter. Just sitting in a stream, soaking my hot feet. I could get used to this. So another kind of cool thing about this is if you do get into too deep water, like I just did, plunge over the sock line, nothing really happens. Unlike boots, which, you know, immediately fill with water if you go over the top of them, the socks are snug enough on the skin that, you know, it gets a little bit wet on the rim here, but it doesn't go down inside. One of the questions that remains is, you know, now what happens? Say I'm on a hike and my socks are soaked from the outside, and I'm still hiking, you know, how long does it take to dry off? I guess I'm going to test that out as I continue my wanderings. Found this interesting little spot, which I'm going to see how far I can get in here. Just says that it's being monitored. Doesn't say don't go in. It just says we're watching you, but, like, have fun. So I will. How beautiful. Camera is watching me. They didn't say don't be here. So what the hell? Socks are holding up. All is well as I cross the dam. Look at this adorable little staircase. The only scenario I can really think of that makes sense to wear these is with sandals. Wearing them inside hiking boots seems kind of bizarre to me. Again, I think it's very strange marketing, branding. Product photos show people using them inside hiking boots, fully submerged in their hiking boots, which just is a bizarre use case, because you go, waterproof socks or not, you crash through a river in your hiking boots, your hiking boots are soaked. And now you're spending the rest of the hike with your boots entirely saturated, technically not wet because of the socks, but come on, you're still wet. So one thing I absolutely can attest to, the fact that my feet are not slipping and sliding around inside my Crocs is a game changer, because I can attest to the agility of these guys. Rock solid grip, despite being still wet. Okay, I am back home now. Temperature has dropped to a downright cozy mid-90s. And final thoughts on this gear. The boots, solid. Really no complaints at all on this. These are nice. They're solid, they're heavy duty, they're well constructed, they're comfortable. Got a nice soft sole, which is much better than you get from like a cheap, you know, black rubber rain boot. As far as, you know, neoprene, oh, hello, Bob. You want to weigh in? What do you think of the boot, Bob? Does it pass the sniff test? Apparently it does. I guess I don't really have that much to say about the boots, because they just do exactly what you'd expect them to do. It's really just a question of, do you need tall boots or short? Which is a question we all must ask ourselves. The more interesting product is really these socks, because this is a new concept. I'm on the fence about it. I think they're for a very specific use. I think there are specific scenarios where this might come in handy. I think, you know, things like river crossings, basically temporary use, I think, is where this would shine. I would definitely not bring this as my only sock for a serious hike. The thing with any membrane type of footwear with an external layer, whether it's the leather of a boot or the fabric of the sock, is that once again, the outside layer gets wet, all breathability is gone. You're suddenly, you know, wearing a rubber sock basically. And, you know, it's one thing, like with these boots, solid rubber, but the interior layer is breathable. So there's at least the possibility the air can flow, you know, past your foot and come up and out and sort of vent out like a chimney. With the sock, that's not happening. I started to feel pretty clammy wearing it. I think the ideal use case for waterproof socks is carry some in your backpack for specific situations, like a river crossing, for example. You could put those on, hang out in the river for a minute, get where you need to go, then just peel them off, and you're done. Your feet are dry. You don't have to worry about like getting the dirt off your feet, all that stuff. I don't know how common those scenarios would be if they really justify it. Like, they're not expensive. It might be kind of a fun accessory to have just in case, but I can't say they're an essential piece of gear. Sorry, LEAKDRY. My initial skepticism that got me this sample in the first place mostly holds true, with a few exceptions for specific uses that I find intriguing. So that's all I have to say about rubber boots for a lifetime, I hope, and waterproof socks, LEAKDRY, and HISEA. Also, just so y'all know, I'm not actually making money off of these reviews. They just give me the free product, and then I have to make a video about it, which is, still cool, but I cannot live off of boots alone. In fact, back in the day, people were starving. They used to actually boil their leather shoes or boots and eat their boots. But rubber boots, I can't even eat them. So, whenever you're ready, actual sponsors, I'll be here. Bob, why do you abandon me in my hour of need, Bob? I need your help with these reviews, bud. I can't do this alone. It's soul crushing. Did you leave me because you're disgusted with my lack of principles? Is that what this is about? You think I'm a sellout? Well, maybe I am. Oh, man. It is not so fun building a brand. Wish I didn't have to. Gotta dip my toes in a little bit of everything in order to make this life work.